Alright, so this is a companion video to go along with the article I wrote recently on creating modern on-off buttons in Microsoft Access. So what exactly are we talking about when we say a modern on-off button? So if you go into Windows Settings, and if we look at the Focus Assist, we want to create buttons that emulate that kind of behavior in Microsoft Access. So at the bottom of this article, the article is nolongerset.com/modern-on-off is the URL. And down here at the bottom we have the sample database. Okay, so when the database opens, it opens up to this sample form, and here's where you can see the behavior, and looks pretty similar to what we have here with the Focus Assist. Right, so if we look at these side by side, the color blue is a little bit different. If you wanted to, you could easily tweak that. I just went with the default VB blue, but certainly you could match that more closely if you really were so inclined. And same thing, looks like the border is a little bit thicker here, so you could make the border a little smaller. But anyway, those are the buttons. Let me just show you how you would add these buttons to a new form. All the magic, for the most part, happens in this create modern on-off procedure. And if I call that and I pass it the form name, and this is form 1, what it's going to do is it's going to open the form if it needs to. If the form's already open, it's going to switch it to design view, and it's going to create a new toggle button, and it's already going to be formatted for what you need to do. So if we come in and switch that to design view, it's already set up and working just like the other buttons that are already there. Now the one thing I do want to point out down here in the immediate window, after we run this, it says be sure to add the following line, format toggle me.toggle24 to the form current event handler. So that's when we come over here, let's expand that. And you can see we've already got a few events in here for the other toggle buttons. And this is really not all that critical right now, because this is an unbound form. But what I'm going to show you in a second is that we can actually bind these things to table values. So let's say we've got a this is kind of a typical global settings table where you've got a single record, and then you've got multiple columns with on-off switches to toggle some global parameters on or off. So we open up that single form settings file, we can see these things are actually bound to the global settings table. And if we turn report shading on, log errors on, and auto update off, now when we go and look at the global form, we can see that it matches up. And if we turn them all on, come back here. Now again, the reason that it didn't update in that case is there is some formatting that has to happen, which is why we have that call to format toggle in the form current event. So when this control gets created, it gets created with this call to format toggle in the after update event, and it passes the active control, which is going to be the toggle control that just got clicked on. And if we jump here to the format toggle function, you can see what it's doing is it's just setting the caption of the toggle button, and the toggle button is using a lowercase l, which in the Wingding font is a filled circular disc. And so if the toggle button is set to true, then we put the 2 spaces, we make them leading spaces, which forces that disc icon to the right. And if the button is off, then we use trailing spaces, which forces the disc icon to the left. There's no alignment option, there's no alignment property on a toggle button. So everything's going to be centered. So we just used a Wingdings, which is a fixed width font, and then just size it to fit properly so that it moves that disk icon where we want it to be. And then the other thing we do is we change this the border color to either black or blue, just to match the same settings in Windows. So feel free to change those to different colors if you want to match the theme of your database. So that's about it. The other thing that I did show here, you can use this for continuous settings. So here's a different kind of settings table where you've got one setting per row. We've got the name of the setting and then the value as a separate field. And that doesn't work as well because, as you see, on a continuous form, when we change the caption, it changes the caption for everything. So as we go back and forth, it's changing it back and forth. If we wanted to, one thing that we could do here, we could update this format toggle here, and we could add an optional parameter. So let's say if show caption, we're going to do what we're already doing. Otherwise, we're going to set the caption to empty string. The border color, we're just going to leave that to VB blue so it's not switching back and forth all the time. And then let's see what that looks like. we also have to do this in the forms current event. So we lose the disk. But it's still a little bit nicer than just a plain old checkbox. And then there's probably some hoops we could jump through if we wanted to really show that disk, but probably not worth it. Honestly, I don't use, for the most part, when I'm doing settings, it's all on a single record table. And so this is a lot more typical of the way I would use this in my real world applications. The other option I might do is I might include this in, I could bind this to registry settings. So that would be the other thing, is I might be storing these values in the registry, in which case on the form load you would read from the registry and then set the toggle buttons appropriately, either to true or false. And that's about it. You can read more about how this is set up. The code itself is pretty well documented, so you can read through it. It's really not a ton of code. The bulk of the code is just saving you from having to manually set all of these different properties. And then this format toggle function is the only thing that you really need. And I'll just show one more time what we did here by adding in that optional show caption feature. It just makes it a little bit more useful if you wanted to include it on a continuous form. Alright, thanks for watching.